New year, new me, new seasons of anime that I will probably never see.
Hey, Faggle Boss, watch this video I found!
Anime kinda sucks to me because everything is really fast and crazy and stupid. I don't get why people like it so much.
Do you comprehend how many anime are available to watch right now? Trillions. Way more than any mortal man can possibly intake in the 73 years he's expected to live. On one hand, it's valuable to have such a large quantity of options when cultivating one's own set of interests and tastes when it comes to anime. On the other hand, there's an unspeakably vast number of titles that slip between the ass crack of time due to their inability to stay afloat in the tidal wave of anime released on an annual basis. This is not a new thing, which will quickly become apparent once you've taken a look at the listings of shows from 2 decades ago and realize how few of them have maintained cultural significance. 2002, what do we got here? Well, we have Ozymandias, Princess Tutu, Haibane Renmei. That's like 3 of the best shows ever, and they're still generating buzz even as we speak. But the rest of these, well, I'm sure they had their fans 23 years ago. Who could forget Mirmo Zibang? Or how about arcade gamer Fubuki? There are at least 10 confirmed fans of arcade gamer Fubuki. Every day, another anime that dozens of industrious Japanese animators slave to produce fades into obscurity, never to be pirated or illegally uploaded to YouTube ever again. Luckily, there are heroes out there who've made it their mission to archive as many archaic anime as possible in hopes of preserving them. I am not one of those heroes. I am an asshole on the internet who makes videos about shows nobody cares about because I'm insecure about looking like a trend-chasing bitch. Fun fact, when you dig up something that's been dead and buried for decades, it usually smells really bad. Same thing with old forgotten anime. Sure, once in a while you'll uncover a hidden gem that never got the love it deserved, but most of the time you're just gonna catch a whiff of something that smells like shit and then put it back in the dirt where it belongs. To demonstrate that analogy, today we're gonna be examining 3 anime that have been largely forgotten by the rapidly aging community of anime consumers. The first one will be sucky, the second one will be not bad, but not great either, and the last one will be a show that I personally believe deserves a reevaluation. Most of you will recognize none of them. Some of you may be familiar with at least one, and if you've actually seen all 3 of them all the way through, then good job. Here's your invitation to join the club of friendless fucking losers, and I'm the president.
Oh my god! Oh my, what is this? What the fuck is this? What the fuck am I listening to? What the fuck is this? Felix, have you been fucking with my piano?
Piano, the melody of a young girl's heart, is a show that exists. Only reason I know it exists is because I saw it for sale at a used bookstore, which once again proves how different the localization scene was 20 years ago. We were so desperate for anime, we were even importing this shit. We printed DVDs for this. Polar bears died because of this.
Please don't be mad at me.
I'm not mad. And I'm not mad because, to be mad, I would still have to be your friend, and we're not friends.
And now, here to present the award for stupidest femc hairstyle ever designed, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mike's score of A Flock of Seagulls. And the award goes to, oh, good God, just fuck my shit up. That's so fucking bad.
Top of his head!
But Miyu, someone who would neglect their best friend just because they have a new boyfriend is simply the worst. And I am definitely not that sort of person. I think for me, the time I spend with Takizawa is definitely what's most important.
Women.
I can tell you right now, I am not going to have much to say about this 5-hour-long lobotomy, So allow me to take this time to give a brief lecture on a subject I find quite interesting. Bad anime. How? These shows are crafted by a team of 20 to 100 people. Writers, storyboard artists, in-between animators all working in tandem to make a piece of art. There are God knows how many producers and industry officials supervising and approving of every creative decision in order to maximize the show's appeal. All of them are working towards the same goal. They want the show to succeed. They aren't spending a disgusting amount of money just to score a few Blu-ray sales from a small group of obsessives. They want money, which means they need people to like their stuff. If this is the mindset that keeps the industry going, why is it that almost every show that gets released has a legion of so-called anime enthusiasts denouncing it as dog shit?
It's dog shit. That's what it reminds me of.
See, to me it all comes down to one important distinction. Genre. Now, the list of genres for anime is gargantuan, but for the sake of argument, let's compartmentalize them into two categories: narrative-driven drama and atmospheric slice of life. Narrative-driven has all your shonen, your sci-fi, isekai, anything with a plot. Slice of life would contain all your cute girls doing cute shit shows, romance, classroom comedies, all the stuff where supposedly nothing happens. When people refer to a show in the narrative-driven category as bad, it's more often than not because of one factor: the writing. Either the story went completely off the rails, or the show suffered a fucktastic ending that retroactively tainted your perception of the entire series. When the writing goes foul, the narrative falls apart and the show receives the label of shit. Or the animation budget runs out, that's the other reason. However, it's not quite as easy to dump all over a slice of life show because you typically go into it with significantly lower expectations. You know what you're signing up for from the get-go, and no quality of writing is going to change that. The only thing that matters in a slice of life, or at least what separates it from good and bad examples, are characters and the vibes. Vibes are easy. You can have still images of sunsets and rice fields and I'll be satisfied. Characters, however, require a little more effort. While it may not be a sin to fall back on archetypes when creating the characters, you should at least try to make them into a more believable personality that transcends the two-dimensional draft paper they were designed on. Because slice of life shows so often stick to a time-tested formula, and because there's obviously no opportunity for the smaller episodic storylines to fall apart like in a high-stakes narrative, it's exceedingly difficult for me to ever look at one and say, "Oh, that's a piece of shit, 2 out of 10, don't watch." Maybe my standards have just sunk to rock bottom, but the inoffensive nature of your typical slice of life just leaves too little room for scrutiny or harsh critique. Not saying that you can't scrutinize or harshly critique a slice of life, it's just that when you do, you tend to look like a giant asshole. And nobody likes giant assholes. They like them nice and tight. Bearing that knowledge, please understand that when I say that Piano, Melody of a Young Girl's Heart, is a bad show, I actually mean it's probably mediocre at the worst. It hits all the beats it's required to hit, and it has actual frames of animation. Such quality should be expected from the same studio that gave us Berserk 1997. Are you shitting me? They made an animation error in the first 5 minutes. What happened? Hey, remember how I stressed the importance of characters when developing a slice of life show? I hope you do, because Piano does not have characters. These are Wikipedia summaries of what are supposed to be characters. Except the Wikipedia entry for this show doesn't even have those. Miyu plays the piano. She likes Takahashi, who doesn't say a word until episode 3. Yuki is... she does track. She's brown. The piano instructor is a dickhead. Last episode he just leaves for no reason. I can't say I blame him, I wouldn't want to be in this show either. Okay, well, it's about pianos, right? Surely there's gotta at least be some decent music. Does Miyu play the piano? Yeah, sometimes. Whenever she's not discussing how unsure she is about continuing to play piano.
高橋先輩のことが気になって何も。
This is the primary conflict of the anime. The entire show is building up to a recital where Miyu's scheduled to perform an original composition. She spends several episodes struggling to write something, only finding sudden inspiration at the 11th hour, and in the final episode, as she prepares to play while her family and beloved Takahashi watch in anticipation, the end. That's it. No recital, no song for you, dramatic payoff. Fuck that.
Fucking thing sucks!
How do you fail an ending like this? All she had to do was play the damn song. Even if it sucked, that still would have been a satisfying conclusion. Hell, it would have been thematically appropriate if she sucked at it. She struggled with an inferiority complex the whole show. But nope, it was all a shaggy dog. Half-price books can suck my dick. $6 is 7 too much. I've committed a crime just bringing this show to your attention. I apologize sincerely. Moving on. Bottle Fairy is a show about a young man who keeps tiny fairy girls inside of glass jars in his bedroom. You know, nobody ever batted an eye when Link did that. But now when I say it, all you perverts can think about is cum. Despite being made by the horniest studio in history, Bottle Fairy is by all means a show geared towards actual children. From its 11-minute runtime to the grotesquely sweet performances from soon-to-be industry icons like Yui Horie and Ai no Naka, this is one series that you can't help but feel a little silly sitting through. But my mom has told me I'm a real silly Billy sometimes, so that doesn't bother me. Moreover, this show secondarily functions as an educational series. Each episode occurs during a different month and documents the fairies, whose knowledge of our world is scarcely limited, learning about all kinds of holidays, customs, and traditions native to Japanese culture. They usually struggle to fully grasp these concepts, which induces an extended fantasy sequence where the girls engage in various shenanigans. They have a samurai duel, become June brides, attend middle school, go to Vietnam where they commit numerous war crimes.
Anyone who runs is a VC!
Believe it or not, this is actually a show that might interest someone who's just beginning to get into anime and hasn't familiarized themselves with all the tropes and staples of the medium that, to a longtime fan, would seem trite. To a newcomer, all of these cliches and cultural conventions feel as alien as they do to the Bottle Fairies. And, you know, what could possibly be a better vehicle for expanding your cosmopolitan knowledge than adorable little elf-eared gremlins?
これが恋。恋って何?
So, what about everyone else who already knows about Golden Week and summer festivals? You've seen all this before. Is there anything else substantial in the show worth watching? No. Well, yeah. They all have really cute names. Hororo, Chiriri, Sarararararararara. Justifying why I like Bottle Fairy is like justifying why I like my dog. It doesn't provide me with any intellectual stimulation, and emotionally it can feel irritatingly manipulative, but sometimes I just look at it and I go, "Aw, that's adorable, I love you." For the safety of my viewers, I can only recommend this show for the most hardcore of moe addicts that are desperately searching for that ultimate lethal dosage that will finally do them in while simultaneously delivering the most glorious high known to man. The opening theme on its own is sweet enough to require an insulin injection. Literal corn syrup compressed into audio waves, and just addictive enough to where I cannot skip it, no matter how much it grates on my ears. That is pretty much Bottle Fairy summarized to a T. I'm dying, but I'm okay with it.
もう40年も前になるかしら。ひどい事故だったわ。相手は大きなトラックで。
You can't keep getting away with it!
Let's transition to a topic that's always pertinent. Poor people. Smelly, hairy, no sense of social etiquette. can't afford to bring in a damn laptop. Some people pretend to care about their well-being, but that's mostly just virtue signaling from people that refuse to make eye contact with the homeless guys outside 7-Eleven. Now, poor anime girls. Now you've earned some sympathy.
母はアスが生まれた年に天国へ行ってしまった。
父はギャンブルで借金を作って蒸発。そして私たちは取り残された。
Binbo Shimai Monogatari, also known as Flat Broke Sisters, is a heartwarming story of overcoming hardship centered around high school student Kyo and her younger sister Asu. The two girls tragically lost their mother to the dreaded Japanese cold, and shortly after were given the slip by their deadbeat dad, who presumably got lost in the dairy aisle, thus leaving the pair to fend for themselves in a ramshackle one-room apartment. I hope that's not too gloomy of a backstory, because they're gonna repeat it at the beginning of every single episode. Classic Toei padding. This is truly the One Piece of the poor kids eating ice soup genre.
はい、ちょっとごめんなさいね。残っててよかったわ。
This is yet another slice of life that makes no serious attempts to defy viewer expectations, but it remarkably manages to achieve its goal of fostering a deep emotional attachment to its two lead characters. Even with only a brief 10 episodes to spare, it takes little to no time for the viewer to develop surrogate daughter syndrome that causes them to twinge in despair every time something terrible or unjust happens to Kyo and Asu, which is gonna be about every 3 minutes. It's almost devious how much the two girls are depicted to be the absolute kindest, most flawless little angels ever plucked out of heaven, only to be senselessly violated by the ferocious cock of the cruel world around them. This is an effect I've decided to label as moe kali, the juxtaposition of adorable, utterly helpless little girls as free of sin as a newborn infant being subjected to a never-ending marathon of abuse and anguish. It's like being forced to watch an extended version of an animal abuse PSA, except you don't even have the option of throwing money at Sarah McLachlan's face to feel better about it. I know I might sound kind of pissed off talking about this show that's supposed to be the best of the 3 anime we're looking at, and that's because I am, which is a good thing. Imagine sitting through a show where the entire conceit is 2 sisters surviving the harshest conditions they could possibly receive, but not giving a damn about said sisters. The series executes its mission perfectly in that regard. You want so badly for things to finally turn around for the girls and for their situation to improve in whatever way possible. This makes it extra day-ruining when you get to the final episode and realize, oh, nope, we're not going anywhere. Status quo is here to stay. Don't count on a season 2 either. So then you think, alright, well, I guess I'll pick up the manga then. That's sure to have a satisfactory ending. Oh. Well, I guess that's pretty true to life. Once you've fallen into the pit of poverty, there's no climbing back out. And Dad's never coming back with that milk.
Daddy, why'd you leave me? Daddy!
Okay, it's not as depressing as you might think. There's a healthy dose of comic relief to help you smile through the pain. And there's also the recurring theme of how, even when compared to other characters possessing material wealth and power, the genuine love and unbreakable bond between Kyo and Asu brings them more warmth and joy than any amount of money ever could. So long as they've got each other, that ice soup is the most delicious feast imaginable. I'm not one to usually buy into the all you need is love cope that gets regurgitated in stories like this. But something about the sheer beauty of how much these sisters love one another packs enough power to make me a believer. And if a bastard like me can be converted, so can you.
お姉ちゃんの笑顔、まるでタンポポみたい。
Shows like this always serve as a reassuring reminder that, despite how worthless the effort can sometimes seem, there is most certainly some value in revisiting older titles you may dismiss simply because their names never get brought up. The reluctance is understandable. We want to use our time wisely by only consuming the best stuff. And the only reliable basis for identifying the best stuff are the opinions of people just like you that also fell into the cycle of searching for, consuming, and subsequently rating whatever has the most name recognition. Are the shows typically considered the best good? I mean, yeah, of course they are. Despite what contrarians would have you believe, the anime that become the most popular didn't rise to that rank through mass delusion. They just happened to hit all the right marks at just the right point in the zeitgeist. However, it can be hard to ignore something like ratings bias when you see a show that only a few thousand people have discussed versus a show that a few million people continue to discuss. Once in a while, it's essential to take leaps of faith and plunge into the ocean of uncertainty that is old shit no one talks about. Because that's what keeps the heart of anime pumping. Having the courage to experience something unfamiliar, something we're not used to, something foreign to us. That adventurous spirit is what birthed every single Western fan of anime who chose to explore the unknown world of Japanese animation. And it's an attitude that should be retained for all of time. And don't just wait around for some dickhead on YouTube to pick out all the hidden gems for you. There's an innumerable amount of shows I could have singled out for this video. And I can tell you right now, there's probably a handful of anime currently fading into obscurity that could have very well been personal favorites of mine. But I'll never find out about them. Same thing can be said for any of you. So, if you're feeling up to the challenge, go out there and keep digging. You never know. The greatest anime ever made may be waiting for you to rescue it from the depths of oblivion. Most of it will suck ass though. For every good show, there's about 20 pianos. Some things need to stay dead. Please don't disturb their rest.